Om Ganadipataye Namaha. Namaste, and welcome to the last episode, I hope, of this series, A New Beginning. And here I want to wrap up the discussion we started last time about the final secret. How does it actually look, or how is it to experience this? Remember, none of this stuff has any meaning outside of your own experience, your own realization. So if you can't realize it, it's just useless intellectual baggage. That means everything we talk about here is from experience. It's not theory. It's not doctrine. It's not something that we made up and now we have to sell it to others. People who do that, I like to say they're selling water by the side of the river. They're taking their little bucket, dipping it in the water, and then trying to sell it to you on the bank of the river. Truth is everywhere. Truth is like a river that flows through every moment and every atom of space. So why should we try to fill our little bucket? I think of a little child's bucket, about this big, and fill it up with water. And then try to sell it to people and say, yeah, this is the truth. This is the ultimate thing. Why should we do that? Well, there are two main approaches to this experience. The Buddhist approach, for lack of a better term, and the Vedic approach. The approach through nothingness and the approach through everythingness. So let's take a look at the Buddha's path or method first. We're going to talk about the four immaterial jhanas. Now, jhana is a word that's derived from the Sanskrit dhyana, and it means the same thing. So don't get confused. The four higher jhanas are unlimited space, unlimited consciousness, nothingness, and neither perception nor non-perception. So what happens when you're meditating? I'm going to leave aside a discussion of the four lower jhanas because those are very common and actually pretty easy to realize. And we went over all that stuff in our series on the secret of the golden flower. So take a look at that if you don't know what I'm talking about, the four lower jhanas. That will describe in great detail the practice and reaching ecstasy and so on. So all right, once you've reached ecstasy, then you're ready for the big time, the higher jhanas. So unlimited space means really unlimited. So much space. After all, space is just nothing. You can have as much of it as you want. So imagine having really unlimited space, because that's what there is in the world. In fact, the manifested cosmos, as grand and extensive as it is just one tiny, tiny corner of the real unlimited space that's out there. So if you expand your mind, your awareness, to embrace this unlimited space, the whole cosmic manifestation shrinks down to a tiny point off in the corner and finally just disappears. Really unlimited space. Unlimited. Oh, what happened to that universe that used to be here? Well, I guess it just kind of shrunk down to nothing, in the context of this unlimited space. Okay, well, how do we know that? our consciousness must be pervading all of this space. So that means we have unlimited consciousness as well. Nice, huh? Even though there's nothing to be conscious of, our consciousness is unlimited. It can fill as much space as we can imagine. So this is unlimited consciousness, the sixth jhana. And then we look at this unlimited space with our unlimited consciousness, and what do we see? Nothing. There's nothing to see. Huh? Because even the great cosmic manifestation is just a pinprick in this tiny little space. I mean, unlimited space. So, nothingness. We can sit with nothingness for a long time. But what we finally realize when we do this is that we're not really sure if we're conscious or not. We're not really sure, we can't be sure whether we're perceptive or not perceptive, because there's nothing to perceive. So this is the eighth jhana. Neither perception nor non-perception. We don't know, and ultimately in that state it doesn't matter whether we're perceptive or not. So this is the final platform, or mind base, as the Buddha called it, before nibbana. And from this eighth jhana, you just take a little leap and you're gone. So that's how it is from the Buddhist side. Now, how is it from the Vedic side? Well, remember we talked about yoga means concentrating the mind on a single point or object. So when we do this, what happens? We begin to see light. And this light is so beautiful. This is called the Brahma Jyoti. Brahma Jyoti means the effulgence of Brahman. So we can contemplate this light and we find that it brings us great bliss, great joy, because it's a light of pure consciousness, pure awareness. So we start getting into awareness of awareness. And then we start to think, well, where is all this light coming from anyway? And then after some amount of contemplation and so on, we realize actually it's coming from us. It's coming from ourself, and simply being reflected in the purified and concentrated mind. So when we get to this point, we are, for all practical purposes, one with Brahman. So this is a self-realization. But remember, there's still one more step. And that step is inexplicable. I could say there is a triple, the final highest ontological triple, where the light is the object that is seen, and the self is the subject, the seer. And then their relation is pure seeing. The light is that which exists, and the self is that which creates or emanates it. And then the third part, the relation between the two, is pure being. Eternal, unconditioned being. To emanate that light is the prime action, the first doing, the creation. And to be the one who emanates that light is to be the doer. And then the relation between the two is pure doing. Doing without any object, without any goal, without any desire, without any contamination of the modes of nature. Remember, we're on the level here of pure consciousness, or even beyond consciousness, awareness. Awareness does not have to have an object. Consciousness does. Consciousness always has an object. We are conscious of something. So in the highest state of Brahman, one is conscious of consciousness. And then in the state beyond that, there is only awareness without an object. Self-awareness. And do I even have to mention that this is full of bliss? That's why I sometimes sit in the corner of the temple where it's nice and quiet and contemplate all this and just kind of chuckle to myself. Here are all these people running here and there, chasing desires, trying to get this and that, or do this and the other thing, and be something or something else or whatever. They want to think that they have some designation or some importance or some specialness of egoistic identity, and so on and so on and so on. All this struggle, all this action, all this stuff. And if you really want to be happy, all you have to do is sit down and contemplate this. This is the primal mystery. How everything exists and how we become conscious of it. I wake up every morning and go through these final stages, either from the Buddhist side or from the Vedic side. It doesn't matter. I've realized both of them. And I just think how wonderful it is just to be. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to have anything. We don't need to be anybody. There's no need to establish an identity or become famous or get things or have things. That's all, a little bit necessary to maintain the body, but we keep it to the minimum. Keep life simple. And then we have all our time just to contemplate, just to meditate. It's not even meditation because it's not forced. Once you discover these things, they're so beautiful that the mind is attracted automatically, and you just want to live on that level all the time. So it would be great if I could share this with some other people, but if not, I have it for myself. I worked for it my whole life, and I'm very happy with the result. So to me, it's like normal. This is where I live, on this highest triple. And nothing can sway me from that. So when I think about all this, I think, oh, how fortunate, how wonderful that this knowledge exists and can be realized really by anybody. But in reality, only a small, tiny percentage of people do. And they are so fortunate to realize the final secret. Om Tat Sat. Om Harihi Om.